We had a question from someone.
Yeah.
They want to know what trail quilt they should buy for their Mantis.
Wow. Ooh.
So obviously this is pretty dependent on where you live and what kind of camping you're doing. But yeah, give us a rundown of what you would buy for various types of Mantis hammock camping. And Tilly, stop whining. Nobody loves a whiner.
So there are a few things that you have to consider when hammock camping in a Mantis and what trail quilt you're going to use. First thing being temperature is where do you live? If you live in the south, I might recommend a warmer quilt. When I say warmer quilt, I mean a warmer weather quilt. I'm talking about our Bobcat 45 right here. This quilt is rated to 45 degrees. It's a little bit smaller quilt, but still will have full coverage on the Mantis. But as I mentioned, if you're looking for those cooler temperatures, you live in a cooler region, I'd recommend our Firebelly 30. This is like our bread and butter quilt. And with each of our quilts, they work both as a top quilt and an under quilt. I use my Firebelly 30 probably the most. I usually throw it over me as a blanket for most of the year, and then we'll tighten it down as a true top quilt in the cooler months. And then when I hammock camp in the winter months, I'll usually take this and throw it under me. And then at that point, depending on the temperature in Texas, I might have this as my 30-degree underneath and then the 45 on top. If it's really cold out, I'll still take something like this as my underside and maybe throw an Arctos on the interior as that top quilt when using it as a hammock in a Mantis. Anything else you want to know about?
So the question that we actually got from this Mantis user, I believe, was someone who's camping in Canada. And I've never been to Canada, but I presume it's pretty crispy up there.
I've heard it's cold. I would recommend the Arctos as your interior top quilt, and then either the Firebelly or the Arctos as your under quilt. And the reason I think it's a toss-up for me is with the Firebelly, you get more coverage. So it will cover more of your Mantis. It'll wrap around you a little bit further, whereas the Arctos is just a slightly cooler weather quilt. Our quilts are also sized and our straps work, everything works together to where if you wanted to stack them, that is an option. You could also, ways to increase temperature outside of just our quilts would be throwing a liner blanket like our mountain blanket or field blanket. They're fleece lined either with a high pile fleece or a micro fleece that will just block more of that wind from you. Those are two ways in which you could really bump up your temperature rating. And that is Terrified Tilly and Helping Henry. See you guys next time.